Will be a couple of minutes just so our presenters know as we go through some of the formalities. So feel free to put your mute on while I go through some of the initial overview items. Well, we are directly at 11:30, so I'd like to welcome everybody to the Entrepreneurs Education Collaborative's monthly session. This month, for June 15th, 2022, our session is on customer retention, and we have a treat for you, a panel of local entrepreneurial experts. My name is Blake Martin. I am part of the Entrepreneurs Education Collaborative. Today, again, is June 15th, 2022, for those of you who are joining the recording after the fact. I am a local entrepreneur like many of you who are joining our sessions and a member of the Entrepreneurs Education Collaborative. The EEC, the Entrepreneurs Education Collaborative, who hosts all of these sessions, is a collective effort of the following community resource providers: the Better Business Bureau, Catholic Charities, the Greater Omaha Chambers Reach Initiative, the Nebraska Enterprise Fund, Nebraska Business Development Center, OPPD, the Omaha SCORE Mentors, the Business Ethics Alliance, and the U.S. Small Business Administration. There will not be a quiz on all those acronyms and names. Just remember that we're your one-stop shop for all things free education and advocacy for local small business in this area. Couple of housekeeping items before we get to the real meat. Might want to turn your phones to Taze, and you also may want to close other browser tabs if you're noticing any bandwidth issues during the session. Please be aware that all the participants will be muted throughout the session, and we'll be checking questions through the chat feature on Zoom and through the comment section on Facebook. So feel free to submit questions and comments as we go, beginning now, and then we'll field those questions after our panelists present their material. Our goal is always to get every question answered, but just in case we miss one or you have a question after the fact, feel free to reach out to any of those EEC member organizations that you know, and we'll make sure that your question gets answered. Speaking of our recordings, this session is recorded like all of them and then posted to our Entrepreneurs Education Collaborative page on Facebook. So just search or Google Entrepreneurs Education Collaborative. And then, of course, it's also being recorded right now on the live stream on the Reach page for the Greater Omaha Chamber on Facebook as well. That downloadable and shareable version of this session on our EEC Facebook page will be available within 24 to 48 hours. We will continue with our monthly virtual sessions. Of course, like every year, we take July off so everybody can enjoy the vacation and the heat. We'll be back in August on the third Wednesday in August, 30 a.m. And to get everybody back into the flow of things, this will be an in-person session. So 11:30 on August 17th is our session on legal aspects of small business ownership. And that'll be an in-person session, so watch your email and watch our Facebook page, Entrepreneur Education Collaborative, for updates on that. Speaking of upcoming topics, we'll continue monthly through the rest of this year and into next year, and we want your feedback. So before we do the introductions of our presenters, we're going to do one quick poll question right now, and we're going to ask all of you to answer that. And it's all about what you'd like to see for upcoming topics. So I'm going to turn it over to our administrator, Susie Jansky, and if you'd all please put in your responses. Just so you know, we're going to have an eval poll, also one question at the end of this session, and one lucky participant is going to win a certificate to a local business as long as you submit. So go ahead and submit this one, and then we'll have one at the end as well. We'll give it a few more seconds so people can judiciously choose from the answers. In our post-session communication that we always send out via email, we'll share the feedback, and we will certainly set our topics based upon the feedback that we get today and in ongoing months. Susie, do we have a critical mass of response?
Yes.
Wonderful. We'll report that all to you, and we appreciate all of your participation. This is only as good as the feedback we get from you, and we get better and better when we hear from you what you want. So thank you for your participation. So now we get into the good stuff for today. I'm going to turn over to Winsley Durand, our EEC member from the Greater Omaha Chambers Reach Initiative, so he can provide the introductions for our panelists today. Winsley, it's all yours.
Awesome. Thanks, Blake. So today we have assembled a rock star group of companies with a very eclectic industry mix. They are here to speak to their experiences and share with you some real world examples that you can take with you today to implement in your own company, the company you work for, or on your own personal brand. I have gotten to know each one of these over the years, and we're going to start with introducing Candace Price. Candace is the proud owner of 3 businesses: Home Team Auto Sales, Sapphire Grill, and HT Towing and Repair. She's currently the only African-American woman licensed auto dealer in the state of Nebraska. Candace is also a licensed real estate broker and an independent insurance adjuster, licensed in 6 states, as well as a notary public. She's a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority, Inc., and the New Leaders Council, and a graduate of Leadership Omaha Class 43, the best class ever, and is a recipient of the Midlands Business Journal 40 Under 40 Award. So thank you for joining us today, Candace. Bowen, been knowing Scott for quite a while. He and his father had started Signs and Shapes. So Scott Bowen's the president of Signs and Shapes. Many of you may not recognize the name Signs and Shapes, but you are definitely going to recognize some of the things that they do. The small Omaha-based company designs and builds custom inflatables for clients. Signs and Shapes is a parade partner for the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade and collaborates with a wide range of clients. Oh, and part of the bio got cut off here, but Broadway shows, international sporting events, nearly every team in the NBA, and global leaders in live entertainment. You guys, Scott, if I'm not mistaken, Little Red is one of your products that everybody in Nebraska should be familiar with. So again, thank you for joining us, Scott. We look forward to hearing from you. And Ryan Sawal. He serves as the business unit leader for the Omaha and Kansas City offices of McCarthy Building Companies, Inc. Ryan is responsible for overseeing all markets that McCarthy currently services, including healthcare, education, science and technology, and commercial. His teams execute on a wide variety of project deliveries, from job order contracting, construction manager at risk, and design build. Ryan has worked on many different projects, including the most recent Omaha VA ENR's 2021 National Project of the Year. So first of all, congratulations, Ryan, on that, and welcome. We greatly appreciate all 3 of you participating in today's event. And we're now just going to have kind of a casual conversation amongst friends about some of the things that you guys have implemented over the years, and just some general observations. As we dive into customer retention, one of the questions that just initially observations I had is just good customer service. It seems to be an old-fashioned notion. Sometimes it seems we're lucky just to get the product or service, however somebody wants to deliver it to us, and we should feel lucky that we got it. Question to start off with, and Candace, we'll start with you. For your business, is it imperative to retain customers, as many customers as possible, or is it not even a factor for your business model? Explain why customer retention either is or is not extremely important for your business. And this same question will go for the other 2, and I'll repeat it if necessary. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Winsley, so much for having me. I appreciate it. Blake, thank you for the opening this morning. I'm so happy to be with you guys. And Ryan, I actually know a friend of yours. I got a message about you last night from Shannon Snow. So I really feel honored to be on with you today. So customer retention is incredibly important, and I would like to think so for any business, out there. And so now I sell a larger product. I sell vehicles. That's my primary business. And so there's no way someone is going to be able to come and buy a vehicle every week. Like you may be able to do a t-shirt, or in the food industry, a food industry product. So customer retention is important because what that will do is give me great word of mouth. So they may not be able to purchase a vehicle even every year, but they have coworkers, they have family, they have friends, they have church members, organization members. And so customer retention matters. We do get a lot of returning customers, even if it's, a couple of years later or 3 years down the road, or maybe now they're looking for a vehicle for their child or for their parent. So customer retention for us matters a little bit differently. But it matters just incredibly, and as much as it does for every other business.
All right, and Scott.
Yeah, so again, like Candace said, thanks for the invitation and the introduction. And just a little bit more background. So we're a manufacturer, and we make specialty inflatables for a broad range of clients, everything from elementary schools here in town to giant amusement parks. And customer retention is vital to us. We make a really odd, very unique niche product, and there's only so many people around the world that are in the market for what we sell. And we have to be in business. We have to keep a good chunk of those customers. So we've got relationships, that we measure in decades, that are pretty important to the company. And so yeah, it's a vital piece of what we do.
Brian.
Yeah, thanks, Winsley. So for us, we are in the construction industry. We're building buildings, and generally they're very large buildings. And we started working in Omaha back in 2001 with a company at the time was Allegiant Health, and they've changed names several times throughout the years, but they're still, here 20 plus years later, still one of our very important and critical clients. To us, like repeat business, repeat customers is really the lifeline of our business. And so customer service is so important to what we do. Right now, 82% of our business across the country, and we do $5 billion worth of construction every year, coast to coast, across 18 different offices, and 82% of that work is from repeat customers. So if we didn't have that, our business wouldn't be what it is today. And the work and effort that we have to put into the other 18%, the 18% of new business every year, that is a tremendous effort and a lot of work for a lot of people to convert, prospects into customers. And then we work very hard to provide them great service to be able to retain them in the future.
All right, so it seems to be a no-brainer that it is easier to retain a customer, less expensive to retain a customer than to go out and beat the bushes and find new customers.
That's right. And so for us, unlike Scott, you have an option of a car lot in pretty much every corner. You have a ton of options. And so we have to find a way to stand out, and retaining our customers and treating our customers like family is a big way.
And so if there was one magic bullet to ensure your customer retention, and maybe there's not one, maybe there's several, but what would that be? And Ryan, let's go with you first.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, we've actually spent a ton of time on this since it's so important to our business, Winsley. And so we've created our strategic map, which is our guiding principles for our business. And one of those is our client focus. You could call it client retention. You could call it creating an exceptional client experience. But within that, there's 6 main things that we really focus on, and they're really in line with who we're trying to be as a customer and what we think our clients want as well. But a big part of that is actively listening to our clients and our customers, making sure that we understand what they're looking for, acknowledging and respecting the client's perspective, always treating them as part of the team, valuing their time and trying to add value in everything we do. And then addressing in our business, at least, a lot of times our competitors, our industry likes to say why we can't do things. We look at it as, let's figure out what we can do and how we can help our clients get through the problems that they have in front of them. And then the last one is really, we want to understand our client's business so that we can help add value every step along the way. We really think that these things and focusing on them and then making sure that we have a great experience for our clients all throughout the building process is really important in today's age with supply chain challenges. And there are so many challenges for our industry. Making sure we focus on that is a big part of our success.
Awesome. And out of those, is there, the listening, the respect, the valuing, the achieving? It seems like a lot of that is communication. Is there any one of those that you would say would be more important than the other, or do they all have to mesh with each other?
I mean, I think they're all important, but I think you hit it on the nail on the head, Winsley. Like it is so important to have open communication, to build trust in everything we do. And so really having that open and honest, transparent conversations, and, in everything we do and my team does, we're doing it in the best interest of our clients and in the project. And so when the client feels and believes that that's what you're doing, usually you end up with better outcomes all along the road. And then you have clients who want to come back and work with you more because they feel like you're out for their best interest.
Perfect. Scott, what might be your magic bullet?
Yeah, it's the same, less organized in the way that we think about it, but exactly the same as what Ryan described, which is we're almost entirely performance based. So we don't, we keep track of clients, and we maintain good relationships, and we do sort of the fringe stuff that you do to keep people happy. But our success really comes down to performance. So we, as an example, just happened to glance at my messages a couple minutes ago, and there's a famous basketball team that needs something for a game tomorrow night, and it needs to be there tomorrow night. And if it is, then they'll be happy and they'll call us the next time. If it isn't, regardless of whether we've given them coffee mugs or sent flowers or checked in on a bi-monthly basis, whatever sort of strategy you would have, goes out the window if we don't perform for them. And if we do perform for them, they can put up with a lot in terms of a lack of that other sort of stuff that sometimes goes into it in customer relationships. And so our focus almost entirely is just on performance and hitting deadlines and making our products so good that they in essence have to buy them from us, and that we always come through, that we always deliver, everything always works the way it should. And so that's our magic bullet, is just making really good stuff and hitting deadlines every single time.
Perfect. And Candace?
Yes. And Scott, I absolutely love that. We try to do that, under promise and over deliver is, really what I hear you saying. And then from Ryan, literally everything he said is what we believe, and that's relationships matter. It really just boils down to relationships. We're in this to make friends. We're in this to try and help and make a change. For us, one thing that we do is we always try to not just get the customer what they want, but also what they need. And you may look at it like, well, it's just a car. But for our community and where we're located and things we try to do, we want to help someone get to success through their transportation. So let's say, for instance, you may come in here and you may have your eye on a $20,000 large SUV. Well, we all know where gas prices are. And so though even our markup may be a little bit different, a little bit more because it's a truck and a 4-wheel drive, and we're in Nebraska, because family makeup, you might do better with a minivan. And so we're going to talk to you through that. Maybe the maintenance is a little bit less. Let's look long-term, or we talk through things with our customers, such as just because you can buy it doesn't necessarily mean you can afford it. What does it cost for maintaining and keeping up this vehicle? So I guess if there is such thing as a magic bullet, is educating. We spend a lot of time and patience to try and educate our customers on different things going on, whether it's has to do with the rent and finances or the car specifically. And so I would say just taking our time and just like, Scott said, making sure we produce, because if you don't produce, the rest doesn't matter. And then if you're not, treating people well and communicating, as Ryan said, and making sure that at the forefront of it all is the relationship that matters, then we wouldn't be able to continue in business.
It sounds that there is a critical balance there of performance and relationship that you've got to do. You have to, it's a given, you have to perform. If you don't perform, then, that's, you're kind of out of the picture. And then adding the other aspects is important. So in many aspects of life, interacting with businesses seems to be as though, customer service is on the decline. How important is customer service to your business and why? What are the kinds of things that you might do to enhance your customer service? And Scott, let's start with you.
Sure. I imagine the reason that it's on the decline is because there's legitimate business models. Like some of the biggest companies in the world have made really legitimate businesses out of companies that don't need to prioritize customer service. I mean, we had just tried to do some services through LinkedIn, and you can't find a phone number to call someone with a problem. Like you have to go through their system and you have to wait days at least, or maybe a week to get a response back. And they make a lot more money than we do. So I think there's plenty of like rationale for it. I mean, the same thing has happened in the delivery industry. So the way that FedEx and UPS used to deliver packages and used to service us has changed with the introduction of Amazon and just all this competition. It's not great from a customer standpoint, but I'm sure that there's very rational business reasons for it. We don't operate that. We cannot not only not have our phone number available, but we have to answer the phone. And sometimes that means we have to answer the phone at really inconvenient times. Sometimes we have to drive packages down to the airport at 8:59 p.m. to get on the overnight airplane to make something work. And that's what I mentioned earlier. That's just the way our business is set up, that we don't have the uniqueness and all the wisdom of LinkedIn and everything else they have. We actually have to work really hard to make this stuff work, and we have to be really accessible, and we have to solve problems for our clients instantly at all times. And it's critical to us, whereas it's not to a lot of other organizations. And it's baked into everything we do, and there's an expectation all the way down. For myself, every single person that works at the company just sort of understands that's what we have to do, and it just is essential to our culture.
Candace?
Well, in a world where anyone can go on and review your customer pretty much live at any second of any day, customer service is definitely important. It's always great to have someone give you good feedback, but it seems that any bad or negative feedback is going to carry further faster. And so we do try to keep that in mind, but little things that we do is we still do a handwritten card. We do that each year at Christmas, and we send that out to customers, and take some extra time, but anyone who's purchased a vehicle over that year, they receive a handwritten card from us because, they matter and we care, and we want to show just that little old school feel and old school touch, even though everything is digitized now. And other than that, I just think that, again, just trying to take the extra time with your customers, remembering the customer after the sale. That's important for us. Once the sale of the vehicle is done, well, now what? So you're no longer necessarily making $1 off of them. So how do they matter and how do they contribute? And so a lot of our customers share our information on Facebook or social media. And so those are just things that we keep in mind. So what can be used so horribly to crush a business, thankfully it's worked really well, at least so far, for our business and keeping us going.
Candace, that's really really cool. There's not too many people who do handwritten notes anymore, so it's good to hear people are still doing that. And Scott, probably my biggest pet peeve is when people will not pick up the phone or will not call you back. And businesses that do that and do that well, I think they're much better off. We try to get our team to do that. I think in the construction industry, that is a bit of a challenge. It's so busy. People are overwhelmed, and to get people to answer their phone and to call people back timely is something we really focus on, and we hope it's made a difference. I think our clients tend to appreciate it, and see it. One of the best compliments I've had, we were building a building actually for general fire and safety, and they shared, many people don't see the construction industry as being, good, having good customer service, but he said McCarthy building this building for us was the best customer service I've seen, in Omaha in our industry. And so that was probably the best compliment that I've heard. And that's something we strive for. It's really hard. And I think it's not as prevalent in the construction industry, and those who strive to do that, to be better communicators, to be better partners, to pick up the phone. I think it differentiates us from the pack in the construction industry.
Absolutely. And Ryan, you're right. Typically when people think construction, they think about somebody starting a project and disappearing for a while. And so, yes, the customer service that you guys bring, well, first of all, is one of the reasons why you're here on the call today. So thank you for that.
Yeah, exactly. And Winsley, if you don't mind, I noticed there's a handful of what we would consider trade partners on the webinar, and so just from our perspective, like what we're looking for in a good partner is that same responsiveness, somebody who's going to show up and do what we're expecting them to do, somebody who's going to return the phone call and get back to us and be good communicators. That's what we find in our best partners as well. So downstream, for us to deliver that service, we're looking to deliver to our clients.
I guess that is a good tangent to take here in terms of Candace and Scott as well. There are folks that you rely on, and what are the kinds of things that you're looking for when you're dealing with somebody, when you are the customer?
And, even for us as the customer, some of our customers aren't necessarily those that are walking in to purchase an item. Some of our customers are just community members and partners that we have. And so we like to be, good friends in business to them as well, because if you're not a good neighbor, you're also not going to last. And so those are the things that we keep in mind. And so what we look for also in a customer is those that realize exactly what we're doing. We may not get things 100% right 100% of the time. And so one thing that we do when we send out mailings or anything that go to our customers, or a thank you for the purchase, on the back of our envelopes, we have little stickers, and it just says thank you. And it says, by supporting a small business, you help support a dream. And so it's just reminding them, we are not a large business by any means yet. We're a small business that's minority owned, and woman owned, and we're just trying to figure things out. And so sometimes that gives us a little grace. One of the best signs that I've seen during COVID says, at someone's business, it said, everyone is short staffed right now. Be kind to those who showed up. And so we are just looking for those that will give us that grace and do that as well, as we try to do the exact same in return.
Yeah, we work a lot harder on our vendor relationships than we do our customer relationships. We punch way above our weight when it comes to the sort of relationships we have with vendors. A lot of our raw materials are custom made, and typically we are the smallest customer, usually by a large margin, that a lot of our manufacturers have. And they take us on outside of like good business sense. So we treat our vendors typically, I guess, like most folks treat their customers. So they get Christmas cards from us, they get flowers from us, and we're constantly hustling and working to keep those going, because we can't do what we do without without the vendor relationships that we have. So those we really go after, and we go after them hard. And again, probably like a lot of businesses go after customers to make sure that we've got what we need. And the last couple of years have made that just absolutely crucial. The difference between someone that, you place an order and they say they'll get it to you when they can, versus someone that calls back and tells you what the actual situation with the supply chain is and lets you figure out, what you're going to do and how you're going to do it so you can deliver the product is really, it's brought a sort of clear the dust away in terms of how some businesses operate and how responsive they are and how reliable they are. And there's some that have really done us well, and there's others that really have not. And then, we drop the ones that haven't, which will include LinkedIn.
Mhm, mhm.
So yeah, without reliable inputs, it's impossible for you to have reliable outputs.
That's right. And Scott just hit something else on the head for us that we do in business is we try to remember those that kind of wrap around our business that matter. So for instance, even our postal person, we get a Christmas gift for her every year. And so little things that matter. For instance, we were at the World of Wheels car show just a few weeks ago. We had a package that needed to come in to be delivered. Well, of course, it didn't arrive before we left to head down to the show. She called us to let us know when it was there, and then to also ask if we would like for her to even bring it to us. So it's the little things that matter, keeping your vendors, making sure your vendors are happy and they know what you're trying to accomplish. Because when you have great partners around you, I really think that's how you succeed and you help them succeed. So even when we look to get gifts, maybe to say a thank you, we try to get those from other local businesses because they're the ones who are going to come to us when they're in need of whatever they're looking for as well. And so, we use the local small businesses for things, whether it's popcorn from Huskerland Popcorn or Popcorn Shop or some sweet treats from someone. So those are things we try to remember to do.
Awesome. So what are the kinds of things that businesses can do to instill a culture of customer service? And what are maybe some of the things that you guys do? Ryan.
Winsley, I think we talked a little bit about, some of the communication things and just trying to be focused. We've really built it into our culture, and having those guiding principles, I think, helps our team stay focused on those things. But there's one thing that we do that is probably worth sharing that helps keep us accountable to making sure we're providing that good service. And it's a client feedback tool. So in the beginning of a project, at the midpoint, and at the end, we'll send out a survey to our clients and the stakeholders. And we actually send it out to our partners too, because we want to make sure we're doing good by them as well, because they're so important for us to be successful. And so we just check in. How are we doing? How are we doing on these metrics that we're trying to do in a positive way? How are we doing with communication? How do you feel the project is going, from your perspective? And occasionally, we think we're doing a really good job, and the client says, hey, this or that is not going so great. And it allows us to adjust course a bit and make some tweaks and really help it end in a positive way, and impact the project in a positive way.
Scott or Candace.
Yeah, I can go. I think that it's common. I mean, I think again, except for some of these tech companies, I think every business, wants employees or tells employees that they're supposed to have good customer service, but a lot of times the tools that they've got don't satisfy that. So if we've got a problem with a vendor and we call, it doesn't matter how nice the person on the phone is, if they literally cannot solve our problem because of policies they've got in place, then there's no point to it. And so we try to have everything set up here so that the salesperson or whoever, the customer service person, whoever answers the phone actually has the tools to address the issue. And we have really wide latitude in terms of what we will do to make sure that a customer is happy. If we provide 100% satisfaction on our product. So if we ship a product out, which almost never happens, but if we ship a product out and there's a problem or a perceived problem with it, that salesperson is empowered to fix it. That's, us making it right, sort of outside of the specific cost to it. If we get a call from someone and it's, 4:15 in the afternoon and they need a product overnighted, our salespeople don't have to say, we've already missed the UPS pickup, or we stopped taking orders at 1:00. We'll have to ship it tomorrow. Our salespeople can say, if it's legitimate, yeah, no problem. We're going to pack this up and someone's going to drive this down to the UPS hub and get it there by 6:00 so that it actually ships out. And so that being in place, and then, of course, in hiring, but really just empowering the folks that are taking those calls and having to deal with it, knowing that they've got the tools to make it right, and the expectation is that they do. That works a lot better than just telling people, hey, be nice and have good customer service, but don't don't let us spend any more money on these people's problems.
Yeah. I like what, Scott is saying for that, because having the tools or having the education, well, what might be out there in the industry, what technology make things easier or better that not only helps you and your staff, but also, the customer service that you provide. But piggybacking on what Ryan was mentioning about being able to take some of those suggestions and feedback that we receive and do something well with it, it really just reminded me, I saw a quote on Facebook and I just screenshotted to keep it in my phone. And it said, the trouble with most of us is that we would rather be ruined by praise than saved by criticism. And so, I was like, oh, that's pretty impactful, because it's the truth. When you get criticism, I feel that great, but it makes things better for you moving forward and better for the next customer. And so how do you, make sure that you keep yourself humble enough, and not so prideful, because we're so great at what we do that we can't listen to someone else and what they may have as a complaint or a suggestion. And so I think doing those things is, pretty important to always keep in mind. Or for instance, when we look at the food truck business, for Sapphire Grill, instead of cars, that's a little bit different, right? Someone may immediately have an issue. Now, are we willing to go ahead and take the food back, waste the money, whatever it may be, and remake whatever item they're looking for? That's the type of service we would hope to always be able to provide.
And then again, Candace, as Scott had mentioned, his people were empowered down the chain. Are your people empowered as well, or how does that structure work?
100%. With the food truck, it's a little different because we only do large events. So we're not, day to day in, day out. So they may have questions. So when we're working with people or younger people, we work with a lot of young people on the food truck. And so they may not be sure. So there's a lot of training that goes along with it. There's a lot of hand holding that, it may take. They may be unsure how to deal with a customer that might be a little upset, or maybe the wait is taking too long. So what can you do in the meantime? You offer them a drink while they wait on their food, if that's what's going on. If we happen to be down at CWS, shameless plug, we're down there this week. So if we're if we're at College World Series and so in line and someone's waiting, well, it's also hot out, go take some waters through the line. Like, that's okay from, the owners of the company. That's okay for you to go do.
Awesome. And so it seems to me that good communication is one of the themes that is present in all good client retention stories. Are there some specific communication strategies that you have found to be best, or has there been some you've tried and it's just completely bombed?
For best, I would say finding out how that person likes to communicate. The way that you communicate may not work for them. That may not be their learning style. And so they will forever be frustrated if they don't feel empowered to speak on it or know that they even can. Sometimes you're going to hire people that may not know that there's even tools and tests that we can take to figure out, how do we become great team members? What are your strengths, and what are my strengths? And how do you want me to approach you if there's something going on? Should I wait till a certain point, or should I go ahead and just tap on your door and, shout at you? What works best? So I think that finding out how the other person likes to communicate and likes to be communicated with is definitely the best method.
Yeah, Candace, that's a great point. We have that same challenge, Winsley, and our teams are regularly working with new teams, and so they have to figure that out on a regular basis. And I've found, we have so many different technology and tools to enhance communication. But what Candace said, it all comes down to people, and you have to figure out how those people want to communicate. With some of the newer generation coming up, text and email are, but I'm a little bit old school and like to talk to people face to face and pick up the phone. I think it's so much better. You get so many more ways to communicate. You pick up on the subtle cues that you wouldn't see through a text, or how people are really feeling or reacting. And just picking up the phone or getting together in person is so much better. No matter what technology comes out, I think that's always going to be something that you have to think about and do.
And you see, even that's like prime example, because I'm the complete opposite. And most people, they know me, like the best way to reach me is just send me a text. And that way I can just get back to you either immediately. It doesn't really interrupt anything I have going on. If you call, I feel like I have to get to a standstill. Like, no matter what I'm in the middle of, I have to stop. And I have to wait. Okay, who do I need to call back? Whose voicemail do I need to listen to? So much so that I used to actually, and I don't do it now, but I used to purposefully keep my voicemail full so that you could not leave me a message because I'm gonna have to listen to it and call you back and go over it anyway. Or people would be like, didn't you get my voicemail? I'm like, no, but I'm on the phone with you. So let me know what you need. And so, for me, it's like, just text me, send me Messenger, WhatsApp, whatever kind of works is, my language for communicating the easiest, because I don't mind if you send me a text at midnight and I get those. I don't mind if you send me a text at 4 a.m. If I'm up, I'll respond. If I'm not, as soon as I get it, I'll respond. But, when my phone rings at certain times, that's frustrating or bothersome. Whereas we look at the opposite end, I work with a lot of people who would rather, me pick up the phone and call. So you have to learn what works best and, remember whatever the role is or the dynamic, and try to make things easy for everyone. And sometimes it's just finding a middle ground.
Absolutely. Totally agree.
And how about you, Scott? Are there any strategies that work best for you? Or again, has there been something that you've tried and is completely bombed?
Well, in terms of communication, yeah, I've noticed that there's it seems to be generally generational, but not exclusively. There's definitely been a shift in communicating. We had a new hire fairly recently, and I was expecting her, and she hadn't shown up. And then I checked my email, and I had an email telling me that she was in the parking lot, wondering if she could come into the into the shop, which is a little bit different than I'm sort of used to things working. But yeah, so in terms of communication, yes, there's definitely differences whether you're outside or internal, and figuring those out is in everyone's best interest. Well, I'm in Ryan's camp, where I make phone calls, or I just go see people, and I generally expect the same back, and a text is fine too. But to me, the thing that matters is promptness. If it's a text or a call 5 minutes later, that works great. If it's the next day, sometimes just because of what we're doing, that's already blown it. Yeah, so I think communication is important, and then like has already been really nicely figuring out sort of what style of communication. But I also think that really for us, it's just sort of the expectation is set, and so if they see new hires or folks in the company see me or folks that have been here a long time just doing really heavy customer service related effort, then that they just get the idea that that's what we do. And we have trainings, and we have onboarding teachers, and we sort of explain all this. We explain the industry, we help them understand why it's important. But really, I think the biggest thing is just sort of by example, because I know if I didn't do it, if I told them that it's really important, then they saw me not do it, then that doesn't work. So we just try to everything we do and every example we set is just based on customer service and really making sure that everything works for the customer right away and perfectly.
Awesome. And Blake and Jim, do we have any questions, or if there are questions from our audience, our attendees, if you would like to go ahead and stick those into the chat, and we can get those to our panelists.
I don't see any questions yet, Winsley. Just a reminder, as we give people a minute or two to put questions in. August 17th is our next in-person presentation. Sydney Huss is a lawyer with Klein Williams, an excellent lawyer. She's solved several cases with us. She's going to be talking to us about protecting our assets in small business. Super presentation. Looking forward to that. Again, August 17th, 11:30 a.m. And you can sign up at our Facebook page on Entrepreneurs Education Collaborative /events. So make sure you take advantage of that. We'll be getting that out on LinkedIn and Facebook from each of our unique organizations quickly soon. Other questions? And if you have something, make sure you get it in chat. We'll get it answered.
Well, I have a question. I've been writing notes on all of these nuggets. And one of my questions is, there was some conversation there about self-assessment tools and tools that you use to help find team members that can work together well, that have synergy. Any suggestions as far as tools that you've used that people might research?
Sure. The Gallup Strength Finder is a great one. And that's even just personally, even just to figure out how because you may not actually know your best hour of communicating or your own strengths and weaknesses. I would say starting there is kind of pretty great. It makes it easier to communicate it to someone else. So I really like the Gallup Strength Finder.
Thank you.
Yeah, and so here at the chamber, we use the Gallup Strengths. And as we work with our small businesses, our entrepreneurs, there is also another Gallup tool, the BP10, the Builder Profile 10, and it is the entrepreneurial strengths. And that is also one I would suggest for people in small business to check out and utilize.
Like the other one that we use pretty often is the Myers-Briggs assessment. It's a basically personality assessment, and then matching up, what strengths and weaknesses are. But we also we spend a tremendous amount of money with a consultant that has custom built something for our company, just looking to our company core values, the way we do business, and do these individuals fit within that. And so, just like a mix of different profiles and exams. And, if anybody's interested in learning more about, how or what we do, I could probably spend days talking about that. But it's we hire hundreds of people every year. And for us to get that right is worth the money. It's a small investment to get the right people on the team.
Thanks. I'm putting that in the chat right now. I appreciate that.
And I would offer up to our attendees here that the first two folks that go to the Reach Facebook page, goc.reach, and stick in the word Gallup, that we will offer the Strengths Finder free for them. And one lucky person who puts in Gallup Strengths will get the BP10.
Love that. That's awesome, Winsley.
EEC members aren't allowed participation in that.
I thought I loved it.
No, you're not an EEC member, Candace.
Oh, I don't care. Okay,
You're
well,
a
good.
panelist.
Okay, well, excellent. So let's go off today.
Perfect. Well, seeing that we don't have any additional questions that have popped in, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you guys for taking your time to share your knowledge and expertise. And you've provided today's the sessions for today's attendees a great deal to think about as they focus on improving their client retention efforts. And again, you guys are very accessible. If anybody needs to reach out and has any additional questions for them, I believe that they would be willing to entertain a question or two, as well as all of the entities that you see behind me, and Jim and Blake, all of the entities that make up the Entrepreneur Educational Collaborative. Blake, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thanks. Don't anybody leave yet, because speaking of surveys, we got a gift card to give away. Here's the feedback from that first topic. We flashed it on the screen real quick, but wanted to get into the session. So this was topics that you're looking to see for upcoming sessions. We're going to take that information into our next committee meeting and figure out how to fit in topics such as we see social media, client retention, customer service strategies, all want to be high there. So we're going to make sure that those are on our topics. We want to respond to what you're looking for to grow your new, existing, or soon to be small business. So thank you for the feedback. It's incredibly crucial to us. And I'm glad to see that today's session actually crossed many of these topics. So that's great news as well. Now we're going to go to the evaluation for today's session. We're just asking you to be honest and provide us constructive feedback. We know we had 3 phenomenal presenters, but any feedback you can provide us on today's session, we're going to put up the poll. And once we're done with that poll, we're going to choose a random winner to get a gift card to a local business. The panelists aren't allowed to respond, I don't think. But we, again, can't tell you how much we really appreciate you volunteering your time for this. All 3 of you are exceedingly busy business leaders, and you volunteered the time to invest in other people who were trying to achieve what you achieved. So thank you for giving back to our community.
Thank you so much for having us.
Once we get that critical mass, give everybody a minute. give it a considered response, and then we'll have the results for you.
I'll leave one
Susan.
nugget while they're finishing voting. And I would say, always remember what it's like for you as a customer in whatever service industry you're in. How will it feel if your mom is the one that's looking for your product or working to have a, some type of construction done, or their, your specialty item made? So how do you want her to be treated? And then try to do that for your customers. And then be considerate of your customers. If you're a company that sends out a ton of emails, are you inundating your customer? Is there another way that's better? Should that slow down? So ask them what works. And I would say that's it.
That's fantastic. Every day is Mother's Day at your businesses.
That's
Right,
right.
Candace?
That's right. I'm a mom. So yes.
That's fantastic. I love that. Susie, I'll defer to you when we have some results and our random winner. As you all know, we send out our follow-up messages and always have our Facebook page available. So any narrative feedback or written feedback you can provide us in addition to the multiple choice questions. We really very much appreciate that. And as I think you all know, we internalize that and utilize that specifically for our upcoming sessions. I mean, like if you want to give some feedback on thinking about Father's Day instead of just Mother's Day, we're okay with that too.
I guess we can add it in there, I suppose. I sure like the every day is Mother's Day best. I was actually going to call my oldest and let her know.
Get a trademark on it.
That's right.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Hi, Susie.
Okay. I am going to post the winner in our chat here. Hang on 1 second.
Very much. As you're doing that, one other reminder, we put in the chat there the link to our next session. We take July off. Our next session is in person. It's August 17th, and you can register on our Facebook page. So if you don't see that in the chat or listening to this on the recording, just go to Entrepreneurs Education Collaborative on Facebook, click the events tab, and you'll be able to register right there.
All right, awesome. Congratulations, Savannah.
Yep, I see that came up into the chat. So Savannah Cuevas, I assume. I think that's the only Savannah that's in here. You are the winner of our gift card. We know how to get in touch with you because you're a frequent flyer with us. So out of respect for everybody's time, again, we want to thank all three of our panelists, Candace, Scott, Ryan. Really appreciate your time. Thanks for doing a great job, as you always do, Winsley, on all of your hosting duties. We thank all of you for joining us one additional time. This will be posted in 24 to 48 hours on our Facebook page. Feel free to share it with friends and colleagues. We'll see you all again on August 17th, the third Wednesday in August. Have a wonderful holiday season with the 4th of July and an awesome afternoon. Thanks again, everybody.